So ZBrush for iPad is finally here. We've waited for this for quite some time now. I do think it's late to the party if you think of how much Nomad Sculpt has developed in these last 4 years. But it's here and it's brought some amazing tools with it. So let's have a quick look at my first impressions. I was on the beta, so I've been using it for quite a few months now. And I'll cover off some of the main points that I've been wanting to talk about now that it has been released. So ZBrush for iPad is Maxon's next big push into digital sculpting, and it's obviously a direct descendant of ZBrush that we see on the desktop and your Mac and PC. And it's the granddaddy of all digital sculpting programs. There is obviously things like Mudbox, and obviously Blender has it now, but ZBrush started the ball rolling. The reason that everyone's pretty much excited about this is the mobile version is cleaner, it's a bit more lean than the parent, and the development team have gone and remade it from the ground up, taking away some of the redundancies. So some of those old tools that we've seen for the last 25, 26 years have been taken away. Remember, ZBrush started out as a 2.5D illustration package more than 3D. It was 3D, but you'd snap things to a canvas, which made it a very strange proposition. It was never truly seen as a full polygonal modeling tool or even a sculpting tool, because it wasn't really invented up until ZBrush came along. Maxon purchased Forger app. We made a lot of videos when that first started about 4 years ago, and that was their first push into mobile sculpting on the iPad. And while Forger app does perform well and it's a great polygonal modeler, it never finally landed with everybody. There was too many problems, too many little niggles for it to become mainstream, and it's still there, but didn't really go anywhere. So they've gone ahead and they've purchased Pixelogic and ZBrush, and then made the mobile version for iPad. Also remember, Forger app was superseded by the powerful Nomad Sculpt, and those who follow me on this channel will know Nomad Sculpt is our main software that we do videos on. ZBrush for iPad is coming into this marketplace now, and I know it dominates on the desktop and it's got the top spot there, but what about coming into this mobile world? I've spent about 6 months on the pre-alpha and the beta versions, so how have I been finding it? So let's cover the obvious ones off first. So it might seem a little obvious, but it's mobile. So it's uber portable for a few reasons. Firstly, you're sculpting on a screen with an Apple Pencil, so right away you don't need a graphics tablet. You have an experience that's much more akin to using perhaps one of the 16-inch screen-based tablets like the Wacom or Wacom 16, Wacom 1, or the Sense Labs equivalent. And that brings me to the next point, which is you don't need a PC or a Mac. It just works with your iPad. There's no host computer connected, there's no wires, no devices. It's just a truly mobile device, and very lightweight, very portable, and it makes a huge difference being away from the desk for traveling, working remotely, if you're on a long commute. Sculpting on the couch has never been easier. Obviously, a lot of us will be doing it on Nomad, and now you can do it in ZBrush if that's your preferred tool. Mobile sculpting is not going to suit everyone, but for me, having the option is the golden ticket. So another big point is the interface change, and this is one of the strongest points. The interface is way, way better. If you're a ZBrush desktop user, you would have been crying out for this type of interface in the original ZBrush, as it's been the biggest single gripe that new people I've trained have said about ZBrush, which is learning that interface, which is a non-standard interface. Yes, you can configure it if you know how, but it's really hard in that first few weeks of learning ZBrush. It's always had that non-standard layout, some quirks that meant first-time users get stuck and frustrated, go to YouTube videos which aren't, done in a linear way, which means they get stuck again. And it's just not simple. Things like dropping a model to the canvas and then having to clear the screen and start over again, they were a problem, and they've been somewhat eradicated now. The layout is very logical with clear drop downs and palettes where you'd expect them to be. The workflow is with your pencil and your dominant hand and the finger on the screen instead of those keys, so it makes it much slicker and a more clean experience. So we need to talk about the fact that ZBrush obviously is running on iPads, which are now quite powerful. You've got the newer M4s and the iPad Airs, which run an M2. It's a genuine rewrite of the best digital sculpting program, and it's made for these devices. You might well say that this is the best rewrite of a digital sculpting program. This is not a port. It's not just been taken from the desktop and put onto the iPad. It's been rewritten for this exact need. And I honestly think it's going to affect how ZBrush is perceived back on the desktop for, further down the line. It's obviously going to have an impact on how people perceive digital sculpting. So one of the elephants in the room is the fact that it's going to be a subscription. Now there is the free version and it is very, very capable. But obviously from that point, once you want to get all of the full access to all the brushes and things, the extra brushes like Dam Standard and some of the tools that you probably will want, then you're going to be in a subscription. For me in the UK, it's £9.99 a month. It's £89.99 for the year. So comparatively, it's not even close to what you get from something like Nomad Sculpt, which is a one-off fee of like 15 quid. So it's not going to be seen well by a lot of people who don't want to rent software. Free option has got quite a heavy amount of tools, as I've said, so they have done a good job of giving you a full taste of what you can do with ZBrush, so that's a great start. But if you are going to go into a subscription-based model if you want to go any further. It does give you a great introduction to ZBrush digital sculpting on an iPad, and it may even lead people into a new career, and then the upgrade to the desktop would be a logical thing for them and whatever company they're in. But it is going to be a big question. A lot of people will be influenced by the fact that it is a subscription. So rendering then. So obviously ZBrush got Redshift as a render solution, and I do like Redshift. I use it a lot on the desktop, but the rendering is not real time. So ZBrush is not going to give us a real time rendering option like we have in Nomad Sculpt. On the desktop, obviously, it's not just ZBrush. We've got the likes of Blender that does both. It gives us a rendering option with cycles, and it gives us a real-time render with Eevee, which is so strong and such a powerful way of showing off your work. And as I've said already, with Nomad Sculpt, we get post-processing in real time. So you're going up against that, which is well established, got a 4-year legacy now, and is on par with the likes of Sketchfab, which is where the developer of Nomad came from. So that will upset some newer users, I think. I think it's definitely where people are coming into this new, and they're used to seeing things like the live rendering in Nomad. But again, time will tell. Having taught these tools for years, I can categorically say that new users will want that real-time option, and hopefully that comes later down the line. Being able to light and render in real time is quite essential now, so ZBrush launching without that, an option like that would be a great way to convert users to it. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to do lots more explaining what's in there. There are some amazing tools. You've got Z-Spheres, utterly amazing tool, and you've got live booleans, game changer for me when I've worked on films that needed it, like Pinocchio, and wherever I've needed 3D printed in the mix, I've had to have live boolean, and they've given us that superb piece of software for that exact use. I love the program that Pixelogic has created over the years. Maxon is taking it further, obviously. And I will be using it for 3D printing, modeling for game, film, TV, and even for AR. I am going to start pushing it and using it with my XR kind of workflows, but it will be hard to see or hard to say whether I'll be going more ZBrush or Nomad. That one's going to take some time before I can answer that one. This mobile version has been created by a much bigger team. There's a lot more people been involved in this than the original Pixelogic team, and they are entering a very different market with established apps, whereas they started this whole ball rolling. So that will be an interesting one to see. It has been made in the image of the original program, but a lot of those legacy issues have been removed and improved upon, so it's a pleasure to sculpt and paint with it. I'm going to be reviewing it with Creative Bloq, so have a look at their articles, and obviously here on our Southerngfx YouTube channel. I hope you're liking these kind of videos, and if you are, please subscribe to the channel. It does help us to get in front of other people who like this kind of content. And if you like it, then why not subscribe to the channel, hit that button right now, and we'll let you know when we upload new videos, which is every week. Have a great week, everyone.